A warm welcome to all my viewers. In this video, I will be speaking on the topic, the expression of love by human beings towards nature and vice versa in the novel Softly Dies a Lake. Literature represents life and love is an integral part of life. Love for nature expressed by human beings and love for human beings expressed by nature is represented in the novel Softly Dies a Lake. This non-fiction novel was written by Akkineni Kutumbarao in Telugu and was translated into English by Vasant Kannabiran. By describing the present degraded state of Lake Koleru and nature surrounding it, the novel Softly Dies a Lake also emphasizes the consequences of lack of love towards nature. In this video, I will first speak about the expression of love by human beings towards nature. In the novel Softly Dies a Lake, Srinivasa Rao expresses love towards nature. In the novel, the love that Srinivasa Rao has for Lake Koleru and the nature surrounding it can be observed when he reminisces the past. 65-year-old Srinivasa Rao observes the pollution of Lake Koleru and feels bad. He then thinks about how prosperous the lake was when he was 5 years old. In the novel Softly Dies a Lake, Srinivasa Rao describes the past appearance of Lake Koleru. He describes Lake Koleru as calm waters covered with flowers of many hues, a cluster of lotuses in full bloom, and wild weeds and water plants like silken tassels entwined and dancing, floating and swaying in the waters, slender creepers tracing patterns in the water, and countless flocks of birds chirping away, bringing the lake to life. In the novel, Srinivasa Rao also asks the questions, where had the rows of ducks floating like streams of flowers gone? Where had the sounds of birds rising like scattered blooms gone? There seems to be a tone of anguish when these questions are asked. Srinivasa Rao is in a state of turmoil. Linking this with the fact that he reminisces the past by describing its prosperity so vividly, portrays the presence of a sense of lament. Srinivasa Rao is lamenting the loss of Lake Koleru and the nature surrounding it. The existence of love is integral for a person to feel so deeply for something and lament its loss. The love that Srinivasa Rao has for the well-being of Lake Koleru can be seen when he reminisces the past and laments the pollution of Lake Koleru. In the novel, we see that Srinivasa Rao praises Lake Koleru and speaks highly of it, thereby expressing his love for it. Love for something makes a person praise it and speak highly of it. In the novel, Srinivasa Rao says, Lake Koleru would draw them all into her embrace like a true mother. A mother is usually considered next only to God. By comparing Lake Koleru to a mother, he raises the importance of the lake to a great extent. He is praising the lake for its capacity to embrace living forms. Srinivasa Rao expresses his love for Lake Koleru by praising it. In the novel Softly Dies a Lake, the love that Rangaiah and the cattle herders have towards nature can be seen through the sense of belonging that they have with nature. Srinivasa Rao recalls how Rangaiah, belonging to the village Pulaparu, referred to everything in nature around him as ours. In the novel, Srinivasa Rao says that for him, not just humans, even the dogs who passed that way were our dogs. The crows that fell in front were our crows. The sparrows that collected, twittering on the front platform, were our sparrows. There was nothing in nature that was not ours to him. He expresses love for nature through the sense of belonging he feels with it. The cattle herders in Pulaparu can be seen interacting with nature. In the novel, Srinivasa Rao says, the cattle herders also kept eating something or the other and drinking the same water that the birds and the cattle drank. They led a collective life. It can be noticed that a sense of belonging is felt by the cattle herders with nature. Sense of belonging with something can be felt when there is existence of love. The sense of belonging felt by the cattle herders with nature is an expression of love they feel towards the nature present around them. In the novel Softly Dies a Lake, the unconditional love expressed by the villagers of Pulaparu towards nature is highlighted. When a snake fell on Lakshmamma at night, Akineni Kutumba Rao says in his novel that she lay absolutely motionless. She considered it as one of God's own creations and did not harm it, even though there was a possibility of her getting harmed by the snake. Also, when floods came, Akineni Kutumba Rao highlights that the Nuchumeli people chose to stay back. Due to floods caused by Lake Koleru, there was loss of harvest. Yet, Akineni Kutumba Rao says in his novel that the people girded themselves for that task. Though their harvest was destroyed by the flood, they chose to work and regain what was lost. They did not feel hatred towards the lake. Unconditional love that was exhibited by the villagers towards nature is emphasized by Akineni Kutumba Rao in his novel. I will now speak about the expression of love by nature towards human beings. The material world includes all living forms, organic matter and inorganic matter. Lake Koleru, birds, buffaloes, humans, snakes, fishes, and everything belonging to nature discussed in the novel Softly Dies a Lake belongs to the material world. According to Vicky Kirby, nature is articulate, communicative, and in the very real sense, intentional. Material eco-criticism posits that nature communicates through science. In that light, we see that nature in the novel expresses the love it has towards human beings by communicating through science. In the novel Softly Dies a Lake, through the sign of providing in abundance for human beings, nature expresses the love it has towards human beings. Akineni Kutumba Rao in his novel highlights that Lake Koleru provides water for the buffaloes of the villagers to bathe in. He emphasizes that the bank of the Lake Koleru also provides grass and fodder for the buffaloes of the villagers. Akineni Kutumba Rao says that in Kotimalanka, the buffaloes ate to their heart's content, filling their bellies. We see that nature provides for the buffaloes of the villagers. The buffaloes are useful for the villagers. Providing for the buffaloes and helping humans indirectly is a sign through which nature expresses the love it has for human beings. Lake Koleru provides water for the villages surrounding it. One such village is Pulaparu. In the novel Softly Dies a Lake, Akineni Kutumba Rao describes how from Lake Koleru an irrigation canal runs to the village. It assists in farming. The lake provides water so that the villagers can comfortably do farming. Through the sign of providing in abundance for human beings, the lake expresses the love it has for human beings. Helping human beings to heal is another sign through which nature expresses its love for human beings in the novel Softly Dies a Lake. The novel throws light on the fact that after a leech falls off the body, an itch can be felt. In the novel, Akineni Kutumba Rao writes that the only remedy for that itch was the slush of Koleru. We see that the slush of Lake Koleru has the capacity to heal. Through this sign, nature expresses the love it has towards human beings. I will now speak about the degradation of nature due to lack of love towards it. The novel Softly Dies a Lake by Akineni Kutumba Rao begins with the lines, "Standing on the shore of the lake, Srinivasa Rao looked out. The lake, which should have stretched out boundlessly before his eyes, lay in tattered strips." The degradation of Lake Koleru and the nature surrounding it is highlighted. In the novel, Srinivasa Rao describes the past prosperity of the lake and nature surrounding it, and also describes the current degraded state of the lake and nature surrounding it. The reasons that Srinivasa Rao gives for the degradation that had taken place highlights that the lack of love towards nature plays a major role. In the novel, Srinivasa Rao describes Lake Koleru and how nature surrounding it used to be in the past. He says, as far as the eyes could see, Koleru was full of greenery, grasses, bulrushes, fragrant flowering shrubs, and wealth of other wild green weeds and colorful flowers swaying in the breeze. Shrubs like the swallowwort and jamu grew in dense thickets filled with the chirping of birds. Srinivasa Rao also describes the present state of Lake Koleru and nature surrounding it. He says, Koleru, once dense with plants and creepers and flowers, lay bare before him like shards of shattered glass. Where had the rows of ducks floating like streams of flowers gone? Where had the sounds of birds rising like scattered blooms gone? Like a map of the world divided wantonly, by crooked boundaries, Kolero was split by bunds, broken bunds. These lines from the novel emphasize the degradation of Lake Kolero and nature around it. The changes are observed by Srinivasa Rao, who has seen the lake and nature when it was flourishing and also when it is in a degraded state years later. So the observation of the past and the present state of Lake Kolero by the same person puts emphasis on the observable changes. Serinella Iovino and Serpil Opperman say that material eco-criticism is the study of the way material forms, bodies, things, elements, toxic substances, chemicals, organic and inorganic matter, landscapes and biological entities interact with each other and with the human dimension. This idea is applicable in the novel Softly Dies a Lake because Akineni Kutumba Rao highlights how it is due to the interaction of this kind that the Lake Kolero and the nature surrounding it has degraded. The human dimension is the lack of love towards nature in the present. The ways in which lack of love towards nature by human beings is manifested in the present is represented in the novel Softly Dies a Lake. Srinivasa Rao points out that industrial waste from Eluru and Vijayawada flows into Lake Kolero. The human dimension is that humans allow this to happen. Due to this, the nature around Kolero, upon interaction with toxic waste, gets degraded. The human dimension of neglecting nature and only concentrating on making a profit is highlighted in the novel. In the novel Softly Dies a Lake, Akineni Kutumba Rao says, "What I say is that as long as it is not for livelihood but only for chasing profit that we began to raid nature and natural resources, we are destroying the environment." Akineni Kutumba Rao also points out how politicians tried to circumvent the law by reducing Kolero to 45,000 acres so that the rest can be released from the Wetland Protection Act and can be put to their own use. All these human dimensions play a role in the degradation of Lake Kolero and the nature surrounding it. These human dimensions stem from the lack of love towards nature that human beings are exhibiting increasingly in the present. Akineni Kutumba Rao in the novel calls the destruction of Kolero as a human error. The human error is the lack of love that is being exhibited towards nature. Profit is temporary, but the loss humans would face when nature is highly damaged is very long lasting, and it could even be said that it is permanent. A certain pattern can be observed upon reading the non-fiction novel Softly Dies a Lake. When Srinivasa Rao was 5 years old, the villagers expressed their love towards Lake Kolero and nature around it by taking good care of it. During that time, nature flourished in Pulaparu, a village near Kolero. 50 years later, the lack of love and care towards nature led to the degradation of Lake Kolero and nature in the village Pulaparu. Stephen Jay Gould in Unenchanted Evening from the book 8 Little Piggies says, "We cannot win this battle to save species and environments without forging an emotional bond between ourselves and nature as well. For we will not fight to save what we do not love." True to the words of Stephen Jay Gould, it is observable that well-being of nature is directly proportional to the love that is showered towards it by human beings. So love towards nature plays an important role in the well-being of nature, and this in turn plays a major role in the sustenance of life forms. I would like to conclude this video by urging everybody to shower nature with love by taking good care of it. Thank you.